All I did was unlock the gate to a piece of land I had every legal right to call my own. And just like that, it spiraled into accusations of trespassing, threats of lawsuits, and this twisted feeling like I was the intruder on my own turf. No heads up, no civil chat, just a massive barrier thrown up in the dead of night, a frantic call to the police, and this cold, calculated grin that masked something truly vicious. I figured it'd fizzle out eventually, but oh man, did it explode. Things got intensely personal, and the harder I held my ground with composure, the more it felt like I was tiptoeing through a minefield that could blow up at any second. Let me rewind a bit and fill you in on who I am, because these kinds of tales don't hit the same without the backstory. My name's Alex Thompson, and for the past 4 years, I've been pounding the pavement as a mail carrier in Willowbrook Estates. Before that, I was hustling as a real estate agent, closing deals left and right, raking in commissions, but drowning in the stress and the fake smiles. I walked away from it all to chase something simpler, and honestly, it was like breathing fresh air for the first time. There's a rhythm to delivering mail that grounds you. You learn the ins and outs of people's lives without ever stepping inside their homes. Not just names on envelopes, but the little things, the way someone lights up over a birthday card, or how they grumble about junk mail, but still thank you for showing up. Most folks in Willowbrook were genuinely warm. They'd wave from their driveways, swap stories about weekend plans, or slip me a bottle of water when the sun was beating down like a hammer. Mrs. Jenkins always kept a stash of granola bars handy for any carrier who swung by, and Mr. Lee would salt his sidewalks religiously in winter so we wouldn't eat pavement on ice. It wasn't glamorous, but it mattered. I felt like I was weaving threads in a community tapestry, keeping connections alive in a world that's always rushing. But everything started to unravel around 9 months ago when Victoria Langford rolled into the Grand Estate on Oak Lane. Victoria was pushing 50, with that salon-perfect auburn bob that probably set her back a small fortune, and this appraising stare that made you feel like you were being audited on the spot. She tooled around in a gleaming black luxury sedan that looked like it had never seen a raindrop, always decked out in designer threads, as if every errand was a high-stakes negotiation. From the jump, her energy was off, not screaming rude, but this layered condescension that gnawed at you, making you wonder if you were imagining the digs. She'd toss out remarks about how certain people just didn't prioritize their image or comprehend what it took to preserve a neighborhood's allure. The way she'd linger on words like certain people always carried this unspoken weight, like there was a code I was supposed to crack but couldn't quite decipher. Was I being paranoid, or was there something sharper lurking beneath? The real kicker was how fast she embedded herself in the power circles. Barely 4 months in, and she wasn't just attending the Homeowners Association gathering, she politicked her way straight to a board seat. I heard through the grapevine that she showed up to her debut meeting with a polished presentation on elevating standards and binders bulging with stats on home values and zoning precedents. Overnight, edicts rained down, stricter guidelines on hedge trimming, no more street parking after dusk, gripes about everything from bird feeders to porch lights. She'd prowl the blocks with a tablet in hand, documenting infractions like she was building a case file on the whole damn place. And me? Every time our paths crossed, she'd find a way to needle about not cutting across lawns or how service workers ought to uphold a more refined appearance. You set the tone for the entire enclave when you're visible, she'd say, implying my mere existence was chipping away at their pristine facade. Looking back, those were warning shots, but I let them slide, not wanting to stir the pot. Then fate threw me a curveball that changed the game. Elderly Mr. Whitaker, who held onto a cozy parcel right along the reservoir, decided it was time to sell. It was the sole lot with exclusive reservoir entry through a historic, keyed portal parcel 42. I threw my hat in with an offer modest but fair, and Mr. Whitaker took a shine to the notion of passing it to someone embedded in the fabric of Willowbrook. You've trudged these streets rain or shine for years, he confided over coffee. You get what makes this spot special. I'd been pinching pennies forever, bunking in a no-frills apartment 20 minutes out, piloting a reliable but aging Subaru from a used lot. My indulgences were basic: coffee runs, the occasional trail hike. But hearing about the sale ignited something deep. I envisioned serene mornings by the water's edge, Maybe installing a modest bench or cultivating a wildflower patch. Crafting a sanctuary to decompress after hauling packages through blizzards or heat waves. The reservoir privilege was icing, but Mr. Whitaker broke it down. The key had been bundled with the deed for eras, positioning the owner as the informal custodian of communal water access. I pictured neighbors breathing easier knowing a local was at the helm, staving off neglect or some out-of-town flipper who'd pave it over. Hell, I even brainstormed neighborhood barbecues or eco-volunteer days once settled. It sparked an excitement I hadn't felt in ages, a beacon beyond the monotonous loop of drop-offs and pickups. Closing day came and went smoothly, leaving me buzzing with possibility. But the following sunrise, I ambled over with my mug steaming, ready to soak it in. That's when the shock hit. A hulking steel enclosure, 8 feet of unyielding intimidation, barricading the reservoir path as if conjured by spiteful elves. Not amateur work, this was pro-level, with reinforced bases, reeking of big bucks and breakneck installation. I froze, mind reeling, when a voice pierced the quiet. I'd think twice before breaching that. Victoria, poised like a predator, her outfit immaculate as if she'd risen at midnight to stage this. Law enforcement's en route any moment now. Her eyes gleamed with that same smug certainty, convinced she'd cornered me in her web. The wail of sirens cut through soon after, pulling spectators from their homes like a blockbuster premiere. 3 patrol vehicles arrived. I knew the lead duo I'd sorted their correspondence through seasons of chaos. That familiarity was a lifeline in the surreal haze. "Alex, talk to us, what's brewing?" Sergeant Morales queried, exiting with furrowed brows, treating it like a neighborly mix-up rather than a felony bust. His colleague, Officer Kane, acknowledged me warmly, diffusing the initial terror. These were guys who joked about my route woes, not anonymous badges ready to cuff first, ask later. Victoria's assurance flickered, sensing the shift, but she charged ahead undeterred, wedging between us. "Officers, thank heavens this man's invading collective property and defying orders to depart. Escort him out before it escalates." She painted me as a volatile stranger, ignoring our shared history of me handing her certified letters. I produced my title documents, pulse thumping but resolve firm. This was virgin territory for conflict like this. They scrutinized every line. "Victoria, records show Alex holds parcel 42 outright, encompassing reservoir privileges and the portal key. This obstruction could be the real infringement," Morales declared. Her complexion reddened, scrambling for footing. "He's disregarding association protocols. Safeguarding shared resources aligns with our ethos." Words tumbled faster, laced with urgency. Kane revisited the paperwork. "Ma'am, these entitlements precede your group. The barrier might violate regional statutes." Best loop and counsel. The tables turning visibly rattled her. She'd banked on a swift takedown. After 30 minutes of her pivots and their patient rebuttals, Morales cut through. "Civil disagreement, folks. Hash it via mediation or attorneys who can't detain someone on their deeded ground." Victoria seethed but relented as whispers spread among onlookers, sympathy tilting my way. "Mrs. Harper snuck a nod of solidarity. With the scene clearing, Victoria hovered, advancing with a glare that chilled. "You don't belong in a haven like this," she murmured, venom dripping. "Folks like you ought to recognize their station and remain there. Folks like you." It landed like a slap, ambiguous yet cutting. My occupation? My background? Or a darker prejudice? It eclipsed mere land beef, veering into territory that twisted my insides. I'd navigated grumpy patrons, but this was predatory, deliberate. The retaliation ramped up swiftly. My manager beckoned me in after deliveries, demeanor somber, sliding across a formal missive, grievance against carrier conduct, pinned by Victoria. She alleged harassment, unprofessionalism, abusing authority to terrorize. She cited witnesses to my hostile reservoir standoff. "Alex, I've worked with you long enough, this rings false, but I must probe, especially with her vowing higher-ups if ignored," he said. I unpacked the ordeal. He absorbed it, sighing. "I trust your account, but she's dangling evidence and escalations." Hot on that, association-wide bulletin blasted. "Critical community vigilance notice." Victoria wove a narrative of menacing interlopers undermining security, recounting our clash to portray herself as the sentinel and me as the predatory outsider. Nameless, but transparently targeted. But karma swung hard. Responses surged, a tidal wave of support. A longtime dweller replied all. Alex has been a rock for 4 years. During that power outage, he hand-delivered urgent mail when trucks couldn't. Victoria addressed grievances directly instead of assassinating a pillar's character. Anecdotes flooded, aiding elderly with heavy loads, spotting loose dogs, braving elements for timeliness. By nightfall, 70-plus defenses grilled her motives. The veteran board voice added, "In decades of service, I've never seen our channels weaponized for personal grudges. Alex merits remorse, settle via courts." My supervisor phoned morning after, inundated with endorsements for U-calls, emails, even drop-ins. Grievance nullified, no substantiation. Dodge her interactions. Euphoria mingled with wariness, but evening brought a cryptic text from unknown. Clever play? Far from finished. You've no clue the forces at play. Goosebumps rose. Her arsenal police, career sabotage, public defamation revealed a relentless drive. Captured for records, I weighed options. Fade or unearth the root. 3 weeks post-email storm, a bulky packet landed from Beaumont Law Group. Upscale, address, implying opulence. Dense verbiage menaced over intrusions, easements, crippling sanctions. Ultimatum: comply in writing within a fortnight or litigation loomed. Gut churning, visions of bankruptcy flashed. I lacked war chests for prolonged fights. Temptation to capitulate, flip the parcel, evade the quagmire gnawed. Perhaps she was correct, I was outmatched. Yet my sibling Jordan, a seasoned DC, land use lawyer for 14 years, chuckled upon hearing the text. Bluff City Alex. These assertions crumble under scrutiny. They're preying on layman fear. He parsed. Ownership negated their premises. Filing? They'd invite backlash for baseless suits. Log all, evade baiting. Monitoring Victoria's patrols with assessors and lensmen heightened paranoia. She'd clock me mid-route, amplifying dialogues. Document meticulously. Conflicts twist unpredictably. It smacked of clandestine plotting beyond surface spats. If valid, why the shadows? Her zeal suggested concealed agendas. Embracing Jordan's counsel, I flipped to offense. Dorothy Caldwell, Willowbrook's 88-year-old chronicler, traced roots to the 1940s amid pastures. She ushered me in beaming. "Alex, I've anticipated your query on that Langford intrigue." Her den overflowed with era-spanning snapshots. My husband archived religiously. Attic troves yielded a 1992 reservoir safeguard dossier. This enshrines the reservoir under perpetual shields, mandating unrestricted entry. She illuminated, flagging provisions granting Parcel 42 unassailable authority over association whims. Legalese fogged my grasp, but Dorothy proposed Sophia Grant, a regulatory maven. Our cafe rendezvous ignited optimism. She pored over duplicates. 90s covenants are fortresses, curbing even boards. Her follow-up call thrummed with breakthrough. "Alex, brace your not mere holder, your duty-bound sentinel of the reservoir expanse." The barricade flouts federal eco-mandates. Pivotal, association powerless to seal, repercussions severe. Bombshell, Victoria was Mr. Whitaker's kin, Victoria Whitaker Langford, briefed yearly on obligations since 2001. She'd willfully transgressed. Empowered, I engineered a township assembly, teasing via email, unveiling Willowbrook's legacy. Balmy Saturday, displays arrayed with elucidated files, Jordan and Sophia armed, a district conservation agent discreet. Attendance ballooned. Victoria strutted in tailored armor, broadcasting. "Savor your soiree on contested terrain." I commenced evenly. "Grateful you're here. I've unearthed our reservoir's guarded past vital for all." Her barbs flew. "Mail routes teach law now, Alex." I parried, hence the specialists. Strain thickened as Jordan expounded. 1992 National Covenant overrides locale. Agent, barrier? Felony against habitat penalties imminent. Sophia unleashed. And the informed? Victoria Langford, Whitaker's descendant, cognizant for 2 decades. Murmurs erupted into fury. Whitaker's blood. Board chair faltered. She vowed legitimacy. Levies. $18,000 association, $28,000 Victoria. She faltered. It was mine by right. Condemnation crested. Your forebear shielded for posterity your betrayal? Months on, obstruction demolished, supplanted by Whitaker Sanctuary Realm marker. Victoria's exodus unfolded in isolation. Reservoir liberated, bonds fortified, my patrols now echo triumph. He embodying guardianship. Ultimately, it's safeguarding essence versus arrogance. Verity shatters pretenses. Would you publicly expose a relative's deceit if it meant community justice, or protect family at all costs? Do entitled elites deserve harsher fallout for abusing power? Should worker rights trump neighborhood cliques? Share your hot takes in comments. Smash like if this had you on edge, and subscribe for more gripping sagas that spark debate.